A wise man once said, "Don't judge a book by its cover." This Long Island native is normally mild-mannered, but he embodies a highly energetic persona when he takes the stage. How he came to be this way is a question that only those close to him know how to answer. Join me as we venture behind the music into the creative mind of Steven Scarola.
May 8th, 1990, the day Steven was born. We were just over the moon, one of the happiest days of our lives. He burst onto the scene with energy and laughter, but his older brother Michael wasn't too fond of the new addition to the family at first. I mean, Michael was living the life. He was living the life for 4 years. He had our undivided attention. He was the apple of our eye until this little nugget came along. But eventually he warmed up to the idea of having a little brother.
Oddly enough, one of Steven's childhood tendencies was not an accurate predictor of his ability to be effortlessly photogenic in the limelight of his future musical success.
Smiling for pictures always seemed to be a problem with him. It was the strangest thing. I mean, no matter how many times we demonstrate a normal smile, he would just fail miserably at replicating it. Guess it was just a mental block or something. Now that I think about it, that's probably why he hated all those meet and greets during his push play days. The kid struggled to smile for one photo, never mind hundreds on end.
Steven finally learned how to smile and became a little more coordinated in his formative years. So he picked up the guitar, and before you could blink, he was in a successful pop rock band. Push Play formed in 2006 when Steven was just a junior in high school, and he earned the highly coveted role as its lead guitarist. Almost immediately, Push Play swept Long Island off its feet and became widely popular in this part of the country. But the band's early success quickly led to a crossroads that agitated Steven and his family as a crucial decision loomed ahead.
Ah yes, the decision about whether to go to college or continue with Push Play. You know, contrary to what most believe, this wasn't an easy one for me. You know, half of me just wanted to be a normal 17 or 18-year-old and get that college experience, but the other half said that real opportunities to pursue your dreams and do what you're passionate about don't come along that often. So after much thought, I ultimately decided to tour the country with Push Play and try to take the band to the next step.
Now, wasn't this a Push Play? Steve should be a good boy, go to school, visit a nun every day for lunch. That's it.
Steve is a very good boy.
Strong. I don't like the idea. I worry if he don't go to school, he become like a jackass. Oh, the girls, they scream too loud. They throw the bra on the stage. I don't like that. Ouch. I don't like it.
Push Play, bro! We're gonna be famous! Woo!
Steven put off college in May 2008 and toured the country with Push Play. Their popularity grew with every performance, and the spotlight was on them at all times, which was something that Steven had to learn the hard way.
For a little while, Push Play was mentioned in almost every new issue of Popstar magazine, so of course, as the mother, I'm gonna buy every copy and see what they're saying about my son and his band. Well, one week, I was in for quite a shock. There it was, Steven with a guitar in his hand, spread across nearly a full page of this magazine, which sounds great, except that it was on the Oops Rockstar Edition page, and there was an arrow pointing to his crotch because his fly was open during a show. Not my proudest moment.
Steven enjoyed life on the road for 2 years, but despite being highly successful in certain areas of the country, Push Play's efforts to achieve nationwide fame plateaued. So in January 2010, sadly, Pushplay broke up.
So we called it quits, and I didn't know this at the time, but that might have been the best decision of my life. Because within months of being in college and regaining my social life, I ended up meeting the woman of my dreams.
When Pushplay broke up, Steven didn't waste any time. He enrolled at Fordham University for the spring 2010 semester, and it wasn't long before he made friends that would enrich his musical and personal life forever, chief among them being his future bride Leah Borst, whose parents took Steven in like a son, but will never forget their first encounter with the rock star.
So, I first met Steve when I was visiting Leah at Fordham pretty early on in their friendship, and Leah told me that during the day, at some point, two boys were going to come over to help lift the couch off the side of the road that she liked up all 4 flights of stairs into her apartment, and Steve was one of those boys. And let me tell you, when he came over, he struggled mightily to get this couch up the stairwell, bless his soul. By the end of it, he was sweating through his shirt, and although he didn't come across as this burly man that I'm sure he had hoped, it was really the effort that counted for me, and I just knew he was a solid guy.
My first meeting with Steve, on the other hand, got off to quite a rocky start. I remember this one rainy evening, Yvonne, Leah, Steve, and myself all had plans to go to dinner over at Bugsley's, this pizza place at Fordham University. Steve was running late. Yvonne, Leah, and myself were all waiting patiently at the table. 15, 20 minutes go by. Leah's getting hangry. Her words, not mine. And then I'm thinking to myself, wow, this is really not a great first impression. And then moments later, Steve burst through that front door in spectacular fashion. He was without an umbrella, so soaking wet from all the rain, and he was actually bleeding from his knee. I thought the kid got beat up.
Thankfully, it was just a minor skateboarding accident that accounted for Steven's bumps and bruises that night. But that still didn't change the fact that blood, sweat, and probably some tears were the hallmarks of his first encounters with Leah's parents. Luckily, everything was smooth sailing from there, and after a 7-year courtship, Steven got down on one knee and popped the question in Central Park.
And I said yes. Yep, she said yes.
He's achieved quite a lot in 28 years on this green earth, but several life milestones and at least a handful of new songs lie ahead for the supremely talented Steven Scarola. So it is here that we put a bookmark in his story, a fermata, if you will, for the remaining measures have yet to be written. But before signing off, we'll leave you with the closing thoughts of his older brother, Michael.
What do I think of Steven Scarola? Well, I would say that